Alright, I am really excited right now to take you guys to kind of the place where my entire business began. And it was kind of an interesting journey that I didn't realize was going to start here, but this is where it started and kind of where my entire business and everything I do now all evolved. And it all started right here inside of this house, which is kind of interesting for me to come back here again. That was actually my wife and I's room right there. And this was our front room where I had my first little computer, a little laptop my dad gave me, where I was just trying things every day, trying to figure out how to make some money in this business. So for me it's kind of tough because when we first bought it, it was kind of actually looked a lot like this when my wife and I first bought it. But it was our first actual house, first thing I'd ever bought like this. And so we went and did the whole grass, we put in a whole sprinkler system. This used to be a field here. We knocked down, we built this fence, we put a garage in, and it's been I think 8 years ago we moved out of here, and it's sad to see this, like the grass is gone, the sprinklers are definitely not being used. The garage we put in, the windows are all boarded up, and it's just kind of interesting. But it's still like, it's interesting, I can still see, like, I remember, like we had our first renter, I remember like him down there. One time the water main broke in the front yard, and I called the city to come fix it, and they came in and said, well, it's broken on this side of the yard, so it's your deal, not ours. And so I had to dig a huge like hole, probably 6 feet deep, and find the pipe and figure out how to cut a pipe and all this stuff, because our whole yard flooded here. It's just weird, all this stuff. We recited this, like all these things we did, and it's weird coming back and just seeing that whoever bought it, well, we sold it to investors out of town, so it's just college students living here now, but they obviously don't mow the lawn like we did. It's weird. And we lived in the top here, and we had the basement was rented out, and then and this is where I started the whole business. It was kind of fun, and we actually had our first 2 kids in this house, and shortly after we moved out and moved where we're at now. Yeah, one of, in fact, the story I kind of want to tell about this is, it was interesting. So I've been online trying tons of things and hustling, and I tried pretty much almost everything you can dream of. And I remember one time I read an article about Listbuilding, and someone talked about, like, yeah, he's like, you hear people online brag about how to make like $30,000 a day, and most people think that's a scam, but it's like, the truth is it's actually true. He said, this is how it works. They have a big email list of like 100,000 people. They send an email out to it, and if like 1% of those people buy, you make money. And I started doing the math in my head, and I was like, that makes total sense. I can get that. And so I remember I was trying to figure out how to do that. Like, how do you get a list of 100,000 people? So I went online and I found a site, I think it was like spam-free email addresses.com or something, and I bought a DVD that had like 6 million email addresses on it. And I remember I got the DVD and I was so excited, and I told my wife, I said, look, I'm gonna put this in our computer, I'll send out some emails. And I was like, 6 million people, if we got 1% of those people to buy, or even 0.1% or 0.001%, I had all the math figured out. You know, if we do that, we'll make $30,000 and you can quit. And so I told her, I was like, after I got the disc, I was like, you can plan on quitting your job, and just, you know, that was kind of and so she was kind of excited. I think she was skeptical, but I think she was kind of excited as well. And so it took me 3 or 4 days to figure out like how to get how to get that list, how to send down email, and how to mass send it out. And finally, after 3 or 4 days, I figured it all out, and I got the DVD in there. And back then we didn't have like high-speed internet. We just had like a dial-up modem. So I had to like crawl under my desk and plug in the dial-up modem, and unplug our phone, plug that in, and started sending out emails. And I remember I clicked send, I wrote a little email, clicked send, and started seeing emails going out. And it was really slow. First like 1 email, then 5, then 10. And I was so excited. I went to bed that night, I couldn't sleep. I was just laying in bed, like just dreaming about, in the morning what's gonna happen when we're rich. And anyway, next morning I woke up and she was getting ready for work, and she said, hey, I need to call somebody. And I'm like, we can't, like, it's still sending out emails. But she had to use the phone. So I got underneath the desk and I unplugged the DSL or the dial-up modem. I plugged in the phone, and as soon as I plugged it in, the phone rang. Then like, I was still under the desk, I remember it rang. I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. So I got out and I picked up the phone, and it was the internet company yelling. The guy was cursing at me on the phone. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, because it was kind of a local internet service provider, he was cursing me out and said, we've gotten like 20 spam complaints in the last hour from you, and on and on and on. And I was so confused. I told him, no, I bought spam-free email addresses, and I explained what I did. And I still remember this day he told me, he said, son, that's the definition of spam. And he said, we're cutting off your internet access, we're thinking about suing you, all these things. And so I was scared to death. And my wife looked at me like, why, what's going on? And I remember I was like pale on my face. I told her, I'm like, don't quit your job yet. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. And I remember that day getting ready for school, and I was just kind of like, I was just down, like, man, this whole, I spent the last couple months trying to figure this thing out, and I was just like depressed and down. And I put my backpack on and came out of here and actually just rode my bike over to university a couple blocks from here, and was in my first class. I think it was economics. I think it was economics class. My teacher was talking, and I was really kind of bored. And just, my mind was not there. My mind was back on this experience, trying to figure out, like, how are people doing it? Like, they're doing it. I've seen it, but how are they doing it? And so I snuck off. I acted like I had to go to the bathroom. I snuck out of the classroom and I walked in the computer lab and I checked my email and I logged in. And the coolest thing happened. During the night, I'd actually made 7 sales from those emails that went out. And it was just, I didn't know how to take that. Like, on one hand, I'd done it wrong, but I was rewarded for it. I'd made sales, and I was just like, okay, this list building thing is real, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And that kind of started my journey trying to figure out how to do this. How can I get that to happen over and over again without getting yelled at on the phone? And that kind of started my whole journey into list building. And what took me from this house to the house I'm in now was my list. That's really you look at, like, what's the secret of internet marketing? That's what it is.